What's happening, Tiny Clan? It is your boy King Tiny Next, and I have a Discord server now. I'll leave the link as a pinned comment and in the description below, but let's get on with the video. So, here's the thing. My original what if on this topic sucks, so I'm going to redo it. This time with a script. What if Naruto had Wolverine's abilities? Now, in order to do this, some lore will have to be established. Of course, I'll be using the Namikaze for this. The Namikaze clan was an interesting clan, to say the least. The reason for this was because of their behavior and their abilities. You see, they were essentially the sister clan to the Kaguya clan. The ones with the dead bone pulse Kekigenkai. Of course, the Namikaze's Kekigenkai wasn't as versatile as that of the Kaguya clan, but they made up for it in their pure strength and enhanced senses. Sure, they had regenerative abilities, but not to the same extent as someone from the Senju clan, primarily people like Hashirama Senju himself. They also age slower, even slower than the Uzumaki. Their strong physical abilities and longevity made them extremely desirable for breeding purposes of other clans. It also helped that the men were naturally quite promiscuous and they would breed with a couple people from time to time. I say a couple, but it's more so what they viewed as a couple, like around 5 to 7 every couple of years. I they wouldn't even they wouldn't even know half the time that they impregnate someone. To be honest, that's the most funny part about it. It wasn't even uncommon for them to unknowingly kill one of their own children. It's pretty sad, really. Usually because they would attack them, but still. Now, there were a couple of outliers within the Namikaze clan. What do I mean by that? Well, there were people like Minato, who had much stronger regenerative abilities than the rest of the clan, and also behaved slightly different, more intellectual, and weren't just mainly geared towards taijutsu. Minato especially was among one of the few from his clan who ended up developing some of his own jutsu, such as the Flying Raijin and the Rasengan. In terms of appearance, Minato would actually have black hair here. He was also quite muscular, although he may have acted differently from other members within his clan. He was still incredibly effective within battle, especially with his healing factor. He could continue to charge in battle and take down opponents even while wounded because those wounds would quickly heal. Minato, I would say, would be much older here than in canon. I'd say by at least a decade. The reason for this being because I felt like it. He would gather much more of an audience here. He had much more enemies than before. His name would be known just as well as Kakashi. Heck, it was probably more well known here. Unfortunately, with all of the strength and influence he'd gathered over the years, he was still unable to prevent the Kyuubi attack. He had a son during this time frame, though. His son's name was Naruto. He was a half-breed, half Namikaze, half Uzumaki. Half of the Nine Tails was sealed in the boy, the other half, Minato, sealed inside of himself. Naruto was ostracized against even more here because of just how powerful Minato was. They lost an incredible resource that day, and it was even worse considering he was a fourth Hokage. Naruto was obviously incredibly strong for a child, though. Even before he unlocked the famous claws of his father's clan, he would get harassed by the villagers quite a bit of the time, but Naruto was able to fight back. He fed on the hatred from the village. to make himself stronger. He was quite sick of the way he was treated, and he was never given a reason for why they hated him. He chalked it up to his lineage somehow and figured that the best way for the village to ever like him would be through becoming strong enough to become Hokage. Once he had that goal in mind, he was able to truly begin training to become powerful. Even with all of his terrible encounters with the villagers, his drive to become Hokage fueled him. That hatred from the villagers also fueled him. He knew he was a step up above the rest, as well due to him being able to give some of the Jonin a run for their money in terms of taijutsu. Mainly because of Naruto's already enormous strength for a child. It would usually take several Jonin to detain him when he went berserk on the villagers who mistreated him. He would fling villagers away like rag dolls sometimes. He was able to heal at an extraordinary rate, something that the Hokage and Danzo even took notice of, but Hiruzen decided not to really bring up the reason for this in fear of Naruto blurting out to everyone that he was the son of the fourth Hokage. Next thing you knew, enemies from all over would try and get their hands on Naruto. Now, Naruto took more after his mother and being a bit of a hothead. He wasn't timid at all, especially with the strength he boasted, but he'd be lying if he were to say he wasn't jealous of the fact that this Uchiha boy, Sasuke, who got positive attention from many for his looks and his ninjutsu skills. He didn't find it fair, not at all. He trained hard too. He would begin to hate Sasuke because that's all anyone would ever talk about. They would even compare the two and point out all the ways Sasuke was better than Naruto. It sickened him. That was why when he was paired up against Sasuke in hand-to-hand combat and heard all the cheers from the girls for Sasuke, he grit his teeth in frustration. He even had an inner monologue with himself about how he would dethrone a pale boy. Of course, Naruto didn't care about what Haruka was saying. All he was concerned about was defeating Sasuke. Unlike canon, this was an actual fight. Naruto charged at Sasuke. Sasuke ran at Naruto with a fist pulled back. Naruto had enhanced senses here. He was able to read Sasuke's movements and dodge Sasuke's punch. He grabbed the boy's arm and threw the boy over his shoulder. He laid him flat on the ground. Sasuke gasped in pain. Naruto was fueled by fury here. He kicked Sasuke up into the sky and jumped to reach the boy. Sasuke was confused. Since when was a kid like Naruto so strong? He was supposed to be all talk and no bite, not both. How was he supposed to ever defeat him if he couldn't even make a move against a weakling like this bumbling idiot? Sasuke was able to adjust his body in mid-air and see Naruto heading for him. He kicked the boy in the face, but Naruto bit his foot in response. The two landed on the ground, both on their feet. Naruto groaned in pain from the unpleasant landing. Sasuke was panting as he tried to steady himself. Naruto looked up at Sasuke and he felt something giving him even more power. He didn't know what this was, but he assumed it was his body going on overdrive, his berserk mode as the villagers would say. Naruto charged one more time at Sasuke and punched him in the gut. He extended his other arm up and was getting ready to give him a hook to the jaw, but something unexpected happened. Haruka and the rest of the students saw this. 3 bone-like claws pierced through Naruto's skin around his knuckles. They were incredibly long too, 12 inches long, and he was about to hit Sasuke with them. Aruka trying to restrain Naruto as best as possible. But this was Naruto we're talking about. He was in his berserker state. Do you really think Aruka alone could stop the boy? Don't make me laugh. Sasuke saw what was going on and fled the scene. He remembered his father telling him that if he ever encountered someone with claws like those, it would be best to stay a fair distance away from them. He wouldn't want to be caught up in their rampage. He watched Aruka try and calm down Naruto, but it was extremely ineffective. Quite pitiful to watch, honestly. Then you watched as Naruto stabbed Aruka in the chest. Mizuki was the one to end up bringing in the Anbu, who were able to quickly incapacitate Naruto. Needless to say, no one would talk about Naruto again unless they were sure he wasn't in the same room as them, because they were afraid of what he'd do to them. The rooms would always become silent when Naruto entered. Naruto was even more isolated here. Danzo would take an immense interest in Naruto, seeing what the boy was capable of, and he had also unlocked his Kenki Genkai. Being the son of the fourth Hokage, who had an absurdly high healing factor, would make you assume Naruto would also inherit that, or at least something close to it. He was also able to unlock his Keki Genkai, not the greatest Keki Genkai out there, but for a weapon, he had the perfect mixture of abilities. It helped that he had a berserk state, and with recent events, he could maybe convince Hiruzen to let the boy join the Anbu. It would certainly be easier here. That's how I'm going to be ending part 0, because I haven't even really got into like the very beginning of Naruto, really. And remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll probably post this on the Heavenly Sages channel as well. Also, here's the thing. Remember to subscribe to the Heavenly Sages, because I'll have some projects that I plan to also update into my own channel as well. But for the Sages, it'll probably be like a week earlier or something, so that's why you would probably want to subscribe to the Heavenly Sages, so that you will be earlier to like my projects. Besides that, King Titan X signing out. See y'all.